BlackRock only has a few hours left before they have to report some big news. It's actually really big news. We're going to get into it in the video. I'm talking with Connor Kenny. There's a link to his channel underneath the video. Keep in mind, 13F filings are due today. We're going to get a lot of big news most likely by the end of the day. So be on the lookout for that. I'll make videos as well, I'm sure. Check out Connor's link underneath the video, along with the link to Margex, where you can trade cryptocurrencies using leverage. You can long the market, you can short the market, you can get set up in just a few minutes, and you don't have to KYC, meaning you don't have to give all your personal information, and you don't need to use a VPN. Now, just to give you an idea of how much you could make if you bought at the right time, let's say you bought after the ETFs were approved, you bought around 40,000 on 10x leverage, let's say. Now we moved up to 60,000, even with all this movement. You moved up 50%, 10x leverage, you'd actually have 5x your capital. So if you put in 0.1 Bitcoin, you'd have 0.5 Bitcoin now. So if you want to check out that link underneath the video, you can check it out and start trading here today. Now let's get into the video.
Sam, welcome back to the channel, my friend. It's always a pleasure to have you. Now, I saw you made a video recently, right? Last time this happened, 414 firms bought the Blackrock Bitcoin ETF. Now, that struck my eye, along with a bunch of other people who saw the video. Now, I think that's really interesting. I think that BlackRock have a big sway on this market right now, whether it's manipulating it up or down or convincing people to buy in. So I'm really interested to hear, as we've had a lot of news break today, I'm very interested to hear if this could be something bullish that we don't know about.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on the channel. So about 90 days ago, we had the 13F filings from the first quarter that were due. 13F filings basically show large entities and what they're buying. Anyone that has over $100 million plus, there are a couple other requirements for them to have to file these 13F filings, but you see a lot of the large entities, and this is around the time where you'll hear about what Warren Buffett's buying and selling, but like today's the last day. So a lot of entities wait until this point to show what they bought the last quarter. So 90 days ago, we got news of 414 different firms buying the BlackRock ETF. Now, a lot of these are hedge funds. Of course, there were some pension funds. There were some other entities as well, large family offices that are buying the ETFs. But again, today's the last day. We've already gotten some news from Goldman Sachs here today. Their latest 13F filing showed that they owned a lot of the ETFs, like a handful of different ETFs, $239 million worth of IBIT, $80 million worth of Fidelity Bitcoin ETF, $36 million or $35 million of Grayscale, 56 of Invesco, Galaxy, et cetera, et cetera. There's the Bitwise, there's Wisdom Tree, there's ARK. So they own 7 different ETFs. They own overall $418 million in ETFs. And this is all new as of the last quarter. So Goldman Sachs came out strong. I mean, there have been news about Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, which are also trillion-dollar asset managers and banks that are also going to start buying here soon. But we have to wait until days like today where we get all that information. And this does seem to move the market. Last time this happened 90 days ago, Bitcoin was actually at the same price it was this morning, around 61.5, and it moved up $4,500 in a day. It was a big day. There were a lot of people that were not expecting so many different firms to buy BlackRock. And I think overall there were 900 different entities. And these are $100 million plus entities buying ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs. Now all of them bought IBIT, some bought Fidelity, etc. But it does seem like an interesting day because we find out, wow, there are a lot of institutions that are actually quite bullish on Bitcoin, right? Last time we saw Millennium Management buy almost $2 billion of Bitcoin. I want to say Sequoia, but I don't think this is Sequoia. Susquehanna bought 1.1 billion. Bracebridge Capital bought 404 million. This is all 90 days ago. Morgan Stanley bought 250 million. And some of these, like some of the entities are buying a large portion of their entire portfolio. One of them that bought, I think it was 9 figures worth of IBIT, I believe is what they bought. It is 23% of their AUM. So like some of these people are going balls deep into Bitcoin. Some obviously have smaller allocations, like even the one that we just went over, Goldman Sachs, their AUM is reported around 3 trillion. It's probably more than that because market's at all-time highs. So 418 million is a lot in like just numerical value, it seems like a lot, but it's 0.015% of their AUM. Like
Yeah.
it's 100th of a percent. So they could quadruple that and still it'd be 0.05%. It's like nothing to them still. And that's
Yeah.
the same thing with when we see BlackRock buy. Like they buy their own ETF sometimes in other portfolios, and they hold just a couple $1 million worth. Like they could add a couple billion really easily. So yeah, it will be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised too. Actually, I should make a video about this. I wouldn't be surprised to see that BlackRock's bought a ton of their own ETF, because a lot of the days where they've had massive amount of trading volumes, like billions of dollars, they have zero in inflows or outflows. Like they've only had one negative day, but they've had so many days where they have zero. So I'm guessing it's either there are two solutions. Either they have someone that says we'll always buy if there's a red day, or they're just buying within their other ETFs. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them have a much larger position in their own ETFs, that they're holding IBIT within other ETFs, and that to come out sometime soon. If that doesn't happen, that means that there's someone that's just buying a lot and they're willing to buy whenever BlackRock says, basically, to get their allocation.
I'm interested as well, because I think a lot of people will be thinking this, because I'm thinking this. So we got all of these entities, 400 plus entities coming up. Yeah, we bought Bitcoin, or we bought the ETFs over this time, over the last 90 days. Why is it that the price has gone down? Surely, if these guys are buying so much, why would the price still be going down over that? Because essentially it's been down the whole 90 days, right? So what do you reckon?
I mean, there are a couple different things that could happen. Maybe there's some large entity that's selling a good amount that isn't going through the ETFs. Obviously, what it just means is that there's more selling than buying. So over the last 90 days, yeah, we have fallen down a little bit. It could also be liquidations. Like we oftentimes see that. Maybe spot bags aren't changing at all, but we saw a lot of longs around 72,000. And then whales come out and say, oh, I'll just wipe out all these longs. They sell part of their bag, they buy it back. And I mean, this could happen the same thing with the ETFs, right? Someone could sell their bag, buy it back, and then report at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter that they have their IBIT share still. But I don't think that's happening as much. I think it's probably happening more with individuals or people that are outside the ETFs. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. There could be manipulation, liquidating longs. It could also just be someone that's taking profits. I mean, from the bottom of the bear market, we're up 4x still. Some people just take some lifestyle chips. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. Do you have opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I just think that it's, of course, selling pressure. It's also manipulation, and also they're buying it over time, right? So we may very well have been significantly lower if they were not buying. Like we have these entities that are essentially buying at the moment, and we don't know the veracity in which they are buying. So like they could be propping us up significantly more than any of us even realize. Like there's people unloading, there's people buying. And yeah, I just think what we're having right now is a very typical pullback in an otherwise very bullish market. And I understand that it's different. It's different to the last bull market. The last one was actually significantly worse, but in total probably last a little bit less time, but it was significantly worse. So yes, we normally have pullbacks. Yes, they're normally around this amount. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter. And the ETFs are quite obviously helping us along the way. So
yeah, and one other thing that's important to remember is there were a lot less inflows overall this quarter than the quarter before. Like if you look since the beginning of the ETFs, we're still up $18,000. Actually, more than $20,000 from like right after the ETFs were approved. But we went through Grayscale selling a lot, or people selling the Grayscale and putting it into other ETFs. So someone can show, a 9-figure position in IBIT that's new, and they sold 9 figures in Grayscale, right? So that's important to remember. I think one of the bigger things that's coming out is that there are other entities that are starting to push for these ETFs to be talked about with their clients, like Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley. There's another Hunter Horsley was talking about, he's the Bitwise CEO, talking about a $1 trillion asset manager that was going to start selling their BITQ, which is like a list of crypto related stocks, or they're going to start soliciting their clients to buy that. So like that is the stuff that causes these big inflows. But that is kind of a leading indicator when those things get approved, and then it takes a while. Like we said, there's still like people making tiny allocations. I mean, iBit and Fidelity aren't buying much of their own Bitcoin ETFs. I think the big thing that will happen is they start putting it in retirement funds and putting it within their own portfolios and allocating to it a little bit heavier. I think that's bigger than any hedge fund that's buying in the short term.
All right. Well, Sam, as always, I love your insights. Thank you for jumping onto the channel. If you guys did enjoy Sam's insights, check the link in the description. You can check out his channel, and we'll both see you in the next video.
Yeah. Peace.